All right, we are recording now. Yay! So another thing, and it's so nice to have you, Elliot. One of the things that I promise to always do is record my classes so that people that are not able to attend can always get the later on recording. So that is what I want. Now I am getting a little bit of a feedback, so we might have to ask people to mute tonight. I think it's because we've got two devices too close in your house.
There we go.
Yeah, can you hear that? We're good? All right then. Okay. So continuing on, you're going to see a lot of poses tonight that are in honor of the final niyama of, gosh, all of a sudden my brain just went, Ishvari Pranidhana. So Ishvari Pranidhana means to surrender. And if you read a lot about this niyama, it might mean surrendering to a higher power. It can mean bringing your whole heart to whatever it is, surrendering to the circumstances or surrendering to what your needs are, surrendering an acknowledgement that we just don't have control and we are not in charge and somebody else is. So it really, it can be as broad a value as you are seeking, but we are going to build a practice tonight around that idea of surrendering. And sometimes surrendering is also acknowledging what our own personal needs are for self-care, for limitations, for recognizing limitations, for honoring that we don't have as much energy to do all the things we want to do, that sometimes we have to put up limitations and boundaries, and sometimes we have to say no. Sometimes we have to take a step back and you know, take care of the self. Sometimes that is what surrendering also means. And so in honor of that, I'm going to start off our practice in an unusual manner tonight. So I'm going to move aside my bolster and I'm going to invite everybody that's with me to start off our practice tonight in child's pose. And the reason we're starting in child's pose is to remind you that this pose is a place you can always come back to. We often think that yoga is all about how bendy you can become, what kind of awesome pose you can get into and say, I did it, how far you can push yourself physically, how far you can push your edges. But that isn't what yoga is. That's the heart of competition. Yoga is connecting with the self, finding balance, allowing the breath to lead everything that we do. And so we say to people, if you're in child's pose, you're doing yoga. If you're in Savasana, which is Simon's favorite pose, you are doing yoga. If you are joining the mind, the body, and the spirit together, you are doing yoga. There are 8 limbs of yoga. And the asanas, the movements, the poses, are only one of them. And they're not even at the top of the list of what makes yoga. So I invite you throughout the practice to always feel that it's okay to return to child's pose. Let's take a moment to start to get into our breath. So I've got my legs nice and wide apart. I have my arms out in front of me. You have the option, if you want, to stack your hands on top of one another. Place your arms out to the side and place your forehead on top of your hands or on the ground. That's an option that you have available. You can bring your knees a little bit closer together, laying your belly down in between your legs, and have your arms rested alongside your legs. That's another option. Or if you choose, you can have your arms all the way out in front, your first frontal stretch of the day. And as you breathe, I want you to breathe in and out of your nostrils. Breathing cool air in. Exhaling warm air out. As you breathe in, expanding the belly. And as you exhale, allowing your belly button to pull all the way up against your spine. With control, breathing in, expanding the belly, expanding the rib cage, and expanding your back body. And then exhale, allow all of that to pull in. Breathing again, filling up your entire torso with breath, poofing the kidneys. And then exhaling fully. One more deep inhale. And then exhale, go ahead and rise up to tabletop position. In your tabletop position, make sure that you're aiming for strength in the pose, integrity in the pose. Your hands are stacked right underneath your shoulders, pulling your shoulder blades, your collarbones apart, pulling your shoulder blades together on your back. Pull your belly button up against your spine. You might have seen that when I did that, my back lifted slightly to create a flat back, tilting the tailbone slightly down towards the floor. Let's inhale into cow, dropping the belly, pulling the shoulders back and away from the ears as you lift the hips. And then exhale, curl your spine up towards the sky, allowing your head to drop, allowing your tailbone to drop. Make your arch as high an arch as you can. Inhale up into cow. And then exhale again into cat. Inhale into cow. Exhaling into cat. Go ahead and tuck your toes, moving back into downward facing dog. Pushing your dog backwards. Bend your knees deeply. Grab the mat with your hands, creating a suction with your palms of your hands, grabbing with all 10 fingers. Hollowing out the armpits as you widen your collarbones and pull your shoulders away from your ears. To start off, a nice deep bend of the knees as you lift your hips high up into the air and moving them back. Now begin to walk your dog by straightening out one leg as you bend the other, allowing your left heel first to descend to the floor, lifting up both heels, and then allowing your right to descend. And let's go back and forth doing that a few times. Remembering to continue to push the floor away and hollow out those armpits, pulling your shoulder blades together on your back. Finding a point of stillness, push back into your dog again, and then lift high up on the tippy toes. And then on the exhale, drop your heels, bend your knees, and take as many steps as you need to walk up to your hands. When you arrive at your hands, go ahead and inhale into a flat spine, pushing your hands anywhere you want on your legs, encouraging that flat spine, encouraging your crown of your head to move forward in the direction of your feet. And then exhale, fold down. Inhale, up to a flat spine, pulling the crown of your head forward, pulling your shoulders away from the ears. And then exhale, fold forward. One more inhale with the head moving forward, shoulders away from the ears. And then exhale, drop your head, bend your knees, and on the next inhale, roll all the way up to a standing position. When you arrive at the top, inhale your shoulders up to your ears, pull them back down on your spine, and then inhale your hands up. And then exhale your hands down, creating as much length in the spine as you can. Inhale your hands up. Exhale your hands out and down, growing the crown of your head high to the ceiling. One more inhale up. And then exhale, let's bring our hands to prayer. take a moment to assess how you're feeling. We're just now starting to open up the body, just now starting to fill the body with nourishing breath. And take a moment to reflect upon what the idea of surrender means to you. What I taught on Monday night is that surrender does not mean capitulation. Knowing the right time to let go, knowing the right time to back off, knowing when to allow something else or someone else to take charge. That's a strength. That shows your ability to honor yourself. That shows your ability to be there for what matters most. Inhale. Exhale your hands down, then inhale your hands high up to the sky. And then on the exhale, hinge at the hips as you swan dive forward. You may have bent legs or straight. The choice is yours. Hands to the floor. Crown is the last to drop. Inhale into a flat spine. Exhale your hands down to the floor and then move back into a plank pose. Let's hold this plank. You can have your knees down for the plank to begin, or you can have your knees up. I'm going to turn to the side so that you see what a plank looks like. Here we go. There we go. So we don't want our hips high up in the air. We want to pull our belly button in, pull our shoulder blades back, bend our arms slightly if we need to, widen the collarbones, pull the heart center forward. And then breathe with sound, creating that Ujjayi breath. Your thighs are engaged. Your core is engaged. Your tailbone is moving towards the heels. One more inhale. Exhale, bringing your elbows into your rib cage, lower all the way to the floor. Let's move into Spanx Pose. I'm going to move back. This round mat is fun. It's a very playful experience for me to be on it. So go ahead and place your elbows firmly underneath the shoulders. Clip your elbows back as you pull your heart center through, pulling your shoulder blades down and away from the spine. Spanx Pose. Pay attention to the muscles that are engaged along the center of your back. This is a really, really good pose for anybody that has back issues. It helps return your vertebrae and your discs to their proper alignment. It helps to strengthen the muscles all along each side of the spine. And it teaches us about the importance of posture. Inhale. Exhale, place your hands underneath your shoulders. Inhale. Fully exhale. Inhale, bring your shoulders up to your ears and back down your spine as you lift up into low cobra. Exhale down. Inhale your shoulders up to your ears, roll them back down your back as you lift up. And then exhale back down. One more inhale, bringing the shoulders up to the ears and back down the back as you lift up. And then exhale, tuck your toes, bend your knees, pulling your hips backwards, and move back up into downward facing dog. Go ahead and breathe a couple of times in downward facing dog, making your dog as strong and long as you can. It is not important that your hips are on the floor. You might see that my heels, the heels are not on the floor. You might see that my heels are lifted. If I lower my heels, I might start to flatten out my lower spine. What I want is my hips high in the air, which allows freedom for my chest to fall towards the floor. Inhale, bring your right foot up to hip height. Exhale, bring it into the nose. Inhale, bring it back up to hip height. Exhale, bring it to the right elbow. Inhale, bring it up to hip height. Exhale, bring it across the body to the left elbow. Inhale, bring it up. Go as high as you would like with that leg. And then exhale, bring it in between your hands. Setting up for runner's lunge. So let's take a moment in runner's lunge just to check our alignment, pulling our left hip forward as we bring our right hip back. Our right ankle is stacked perfectly underneath our right knee. Go ahead and place your hands at your hips and rise up. Take a moment to consider your alignment now that you've risen. Your toes are on the floor. Your left heel is raised. You have as deep of a bend in your right leg as you can handle. So if you need to back off of that, that would be surrendering to the needs of your body right now. If you can go deeper, I encourage you to do so. Make sure you're pulling your belly button in against the spine as you do that. If you want to join me, raise your hands up. Exhale. Inhale, raise the arm. Exhale, pulling the shoulders back and down. One more inhale. Exhale, place your hands down on the floor. Move back into downward facing dog. Inhale, raise your left foot to hip height. Exhale, bring your knee to your nose. Inhale, bring it back up to hip height. Exhale, bring your left knee to your left elbow. Inhale, bring it up to hip height. Exhale, bring your left knee to your right elbow. Inhale, bring it up as high as you want. And then exhale, bring it in between the hands. Setting up for runner's lunge on the left-hand side. Again, pull your right hip forward as you bring your left hip back to strengthen your pelvic floor, to create your foundation. Then place your hands on your hips and rise up. Take a moment to check your foundation. Take a moment to make sure that your belly button is pulled in against the spine, that your shoulder blades are pulled down away from the ears. If you need to back slightly out of the pose, that's totally acceptable. I'm gonna go ahead and sink my hip again. I'm gonna inhale my hands up. Exhaling, pulling my ears, my shoulders away from my ears. Inhaling, rising the hands up. And then exhale, pulling the shoulders back and down. Inhale, rising up again. And then exhale, placing my hands on the floor, moving back again into downward facing dog. Inhale. And then exhale, push your hips as far back as you can. Nice. Inhale, move forward into that plank again. And then place your right hand in the center of the mat, swiveling over to the right side. If you would like to either place your left foot in front as a support or create a kickstand with your right leg underneath, that is totally acceptable. So when you rise up, if you choose the latter of those two, it looks like this. If you choose the former of those two, it looks like this, where I've got one foot in front and I'm pushing my hips up high. Third variation is traditional one-armed on the side here, one-armed plank, okay? Either way, we shine our heart center up, we push our hips up as high as we can get them. When you feel ready, go ahead and raise your left arm up to the ceiling. Breathing with sound, creating that Ujjayi breath, where you slightly constrict the space on the back of your throat. Inhale. Exhale, place that hand down, move back into downward facing dog. I'm going to change my position so you can see my left side. So I'm moving that way on the mat. That's like my crab claw there. Moving back as far as you can into your dog. Inhale. Exhale, pushing your hips up and back, moving your shoulders away from the ears. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, moving forward into that plank, choosing your variation of the side plank. I'm going to choose the one-legged variation, or the my feet stacked, my hips stacked. You can place one foot in front if you choose. You can have one foot as a kickstand if you choose. Whatever is your level of difficulty, whatever your body needs right now. Surrender to what your body is telling you. Raise up your hand to the ceiling if that's available. remembering that Ujjayi breath. One more inhale, and then exhale. Go ahead and place both hands on the floor. Lower down Chaturanga Dandasana, and then inhale into upward facing dog. Exhale into downward facing dog. Okay, dokie. Go ahead and inhale your right leg as high up as you'd like to go. Exhale, bring your foot down in between your hands, and then open up into Warrior Two. In Warrior Two, be pulling your sits bones together underneath your pelvis as you pull your belly button in against the spine, engaging your side body waist, pulling your shoulder blades together as you look out over your right hand. Now we are going to be integrating into our Warrior series tonight, both Peaceful Warrior and Humble Warrior. So go ahead and catch your breath. It's really warm in this room. Inhale, and then exhale, reverse that into Peaceful Warrior, also called Reverse Warrior. And in Reverse Warrior, what I want is for your hips to have not moved at all. Still concentrate on pulling your sits bones together as you engage your Mula Bandha, which is your root lock, and your Uddiyana Bandha, which is the navel lock. Pulling your belly button in, pulling your sits bones close together. The more that you have a strong foundation, the more you can allow this front leg to bend. Because now you have proper strength at the bottom of your pelvis. And you don't have to do it all in your leg. Inhale, reach as high as you can. And then on the exhale, return back to Warrior Two. Inhale. Exhale, bring your hands together in the back and pull your shoulder blades down and away from your spine. Shining your heart center up to the ceiling. Inhale. And then on your exhale, you're going to move towards your right knee. And you're going to move to the inside of that knee. As you do that, pull your hips slightly to your left, so forward, so that you're squaring off your hips, so you're not moving your booty back. You're going to kind of tuck your booty. And then just go ahead, to the degree that you're able, drop your head, bring your arms up, opening up the shoulders in Humble Warrior. This pose is easier if you pull your belly button further into the spine and allow this fold to take place organically from the middle of the body. One more inhale. Fully exhale. Then inhale, rise up with control. Back into that position where our hands are down below our tailbone, our chest is risen. Exhale. Inhale, bring our hands out to either side in Warrior Two. Exhale fully. Then inhale. Exhale, cartwheel your hands down on either side of your foot and bring it back again into downward facing dog. Feel the difference now that you have really been working that right leg. Inhale your left leg up as high as you want to go. And then exhale, pull it in between the hands. Cartwheeling open. Warrior Two. This provides you with a great opportunity to kind of see the back of my body and see those shoulder blades pulling together on the back. Pulling that belly button together, using these muscles along the back of the leg to pull your knee around so that your kneecap is lined up with your pinky toes, actually. Inhale. Exhale. Widen those collarbones like you're reaching for something on either side with each hand. Inhale. And then exhale back into Reverse Warrior, Peaceful Warrior. A lot of times you will see this hand curl over. That is an option, but I usually don't take that variation because I get plenty of a stretch by sinking my hips and reaching my hand high to the ceiling. One more inhale. And then exhale, rise back up into warrior two. Take your hands, clasp them behind your back. Now you get to really see that. So my hands are clasped and just pull down. Now, if you really want to shake things up, you can change your finger orientation from what it was the other time. So if your left thumb was on top before, now do your right thumb on top. And as you're in this pose, pull your shoulders down and away, allowing your heart center to shine up. You might have a small arch in the back. Inhale. Exhale fully. Inhale again. And then on your exhale, move forward into your peaceful warrior on the inside of your left thigh. Pull your hips slightly forward, so to your right, as you bring your hands overhead, pull your belly button into the spine as you enter into peaceful warrior, honoring those who have come before you. I have a friend who is Lakota, a couple actually, and I often think of the Lakota Nation and of many of our native nations and peoples and how they show honor to one another this way. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, rise up. And then exhale, open up into warrior two again. Inhale. And then exhale, cartwheel your hands all the way down to the floor, moving back into downward facing dog. On this warm summer night, my body feels really good and open. That's what happens when it's warm. We can really get into deep extension in our poses in yoga when the body is so warm. Inhale. Exhale fully as you push your dog back. Inhale, bring your right leg up as high as you want to go. And then exhale, bringing your knee to nose. Bring your foot in between your hands. And then open up again into warrior two. Inhale. Exhale, let's go into extended side angle, placing our forearm on top of our right knee. Start off initially by pulling your left shoulder back, sinking your hips low as you shine your heart center up to the ceiling. Just focusing on that motion. When you have your hand down, then you can really focus on what your torso is doing. You can focus on that alignment. Go ahead and rise your hand up to the ceiling if you choose, or you can even bring your arm down alongside your ear. And the deeper you sink in your hips, the more you have a beautiful straight line from your wrist all the way to your ankle. And then you can focus on spiraling the chest up. Breathe evenly with sound. One more inhale. Exhale, pull your hand forward, circle it down, back up to the ceiling, and then rise up into warrior two, straightening out your left leg, setting up for triangle. Inhale. Exhale, move your body forward. So you don't need to tip your hip back. You can just keep your hips stationary, but just move your torso forward. And as you move your torso forward, start to allow your hands to descend. Right hand to 6 o'clock, left hand to 12 o'clock. And as you do this, spiral your inner thigh up so that your kneecap can face the sky, face the ceiling. If you find that you cannot have your hands touch the floor, that's totally okay. You can rest your hands on your shin. You can elevate your spine, your torso a little bit so that it's not totally parallel to the floor. That's totally okay. You can even have your hand on your thigh. You can get a block and you can place a block on the outside of your leg, whatever works best for you. But while you are in triangle, you are pulling the crown of your head towards the direction of your front foot. You are pulling your belly button against the spine. You are allowing your tailbone to tip down towards the floor. And you are trying your best to stack your shoulders on top of one another so that if there was a piece of plexiglass behind you, you could lean up against it. One of the ways you can practice this pose is against a wall at home. So you can feel those sensations of creating all of those micro adjustments. Inhale, exhale. One more inhale, and then exhale. Go ahead and place your left hand on the floor. Bend your knee slightly as you bring your left foot in to set up for pyramid pose. So go ahead and inhale the crown of your head forward, pulling your right hip back. And then on the exhale, start to allow your torso to fall over that right leg. Still focusing on pulling your shoulder blades back on your spine. As you pull your right hip backwards and your left hip forwards, allowing your entire torso to fall over without curling over. Very nice. Inhale. Exhale. Maintaining this pyramid pose, we're going to add a new challenge. Take your hands and rise up, keeping your hips stationary. Hands all the way up to the ceiling. And then exhale your hands down. If you can, take them to reverse prayer on your back. If that doesn't work, you can just put your fists together. And then go ahead and curl your upper spine back over your hands, pulling your shoulder blades back and down, keeping your hips stationary. Heart center facing the ceiling. Inhale. Exhale. One more inhale. Exhale, rise up. Bend your right leg. Open that back up into warrior two. Inhale. And then exhale, place your hands on the floor. Moving back into downward facing dog. Go ahead and extend your dog as far as you can. Inhale, bring your left leg up as high as you would like. And then exhale, bring your knee to nose, bring your foot between your hands, and then open up again into warrior two. Now we're going to go into extended side angle, so I want you to inhale, and then exhale, place your left forearm on your left knee, placing your right hand on your hip and pulling your right shoulder back. So you might get a really nice view of this because you're seeing part of my back. So notice how I'm pulling this right shoulder back as I'm pulling my left shoulder kind of forward. Then I can bring my hand up to the ceiling or alongside my ear. And if I want to increase the stretch along the right side, I just bend my left knee more deeply, allowing those hips to sink, creating that beautiful dart line from my wrist all the way to my ankle, focusing still on pulling my right shoulder back to allow my heart center to shine towards the ceiling. Inhale, exhale. One more inhale. And then exhale, bring your hand in a circle and back up to the sky, and then rise up into warrior two, straightening out your left leg. I've got a little bit of mist in my glasses. So we're now setting up, prepare for a triangle pose, I'm sorry. So again, remember, you don't have to pull that right hip back. You may have been taught that in other classes. That isn't really necessary. You're going to get a beautiful opening by just keeping your hips stationary. Keep your hands out to the side. Inhale. And then on the exhale, start to move your torso in the direction of your left foot. And then allow your hands to fall naturally down to the floor. Left hand at 6 o'clock, right hand at 12 o'clock. Tucking your tailbone, pulling your right shoulder back, allowing it to stack on top of your left shoulder. Imagining again that you have a plexiglass wall behind you and you are pressing your body up against that wall. Spiral your inner spiral of your left thigh to have your kneecap facing the ceiling. opening up your heart center. One more inhale. And then exhale. Take your right hand to the floor, bend your left knee slightly as you bring in your right foot, setting up for pyramid pose. Again, in pyramid, now we're pulling our left hip back as we pull our right hip forward to square off our hips. Imagine somebody is taking force on either side of your hips and pushing them together so that you are creating a strong and stable base below. Inhale the crown of your head in the same direction as your front toes. And then exhale, allow your entire torso, pulling your shoulders back onto your spine to fall over that left leg. Continuing to tuck your tailbone, pulling your belly button also in against the spine. So if you feel tension in your lower spine, the cue is pull your shoulder blades more back and down. And if you need to, you can rise up even a little bit, and you can use blocks to support you as well. Inhale, exhale. Remember, inhale is for extension, crown of the head forward, and then exhale is for descending. One more inhale, exhale. Placing your right hand on your hips. Go ahead and let's take our straight arms and rise up on the inhale, keeping our left leg straight in front. And then on the exhale, bring your hands down in a circle to your side, and then they join at the back in reverse prayer. If you cannot put them together in reverse prayer, that's okay. You can just put your fists together. You can even just place your hands on your sacroiliac joints with your fingers pointed down. But whichever you choose, I want you to inhale your chest high to the ceiling. And as you exhale, pull your shoulders back away from the ears, and that will start to create a little bit of a back bend. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, bend your right leg deeply, opening back up into warrior two. Inhale. Exhale, cartwheel your hands down and move back into downward facing dog. Enjoy this nice, gorgeous stretch after all that work you've just done. Inhale, rise your right leg as high as you would like, and then open up by lifting up your right hip above your left hip, stacking your hips on top of each other, starting to kick back by bending your leg, bending your knee, moving your heel towards your hips. At the same time, try to continue to apply equal pressure with your hands on the floor, bringing your chest towards the floor. So opening up the whole front and right side body while you are creating a strong three-legged dog on the floor. Inhale. Exhale. One more inhale. Exhale. Return your hips to normal. Drop that left foot. Inhale once. Exhale, stretch out your dog. Inhale, rise your left leg as high as you want to get it. And then when you feel ready, go ahead and open up, allowing your left heel to come back towards the hips, rising your thigh high in the air, rising your knee high in the air, pushing the mat equally away with each hand. One more inhale. And then exhale, return to neutral. Return that foot back. Let's go ahead and drop down to the mat. And let's sit in hero pose. So in hero pose, we put our knees together, we widen our ankles apart, and we sit down in between our heels. If you find it is difficult to sit between the heels, you certainly are welcome to find something to elevate your hips, such as a block or a blanket. But we are going to sit in hero for a moment and talk a little bit about the importance of this pose. So we have oftentimes a lot of tightness along the tops of our thighs. We have a lot of tightness along the backs of our hips, the front of our hips. We're not used to in our society rotating our hip or our leg around inside of our hip like this. And as we get older, we kind of lose that. And the more stiff we get, the more mobility that we lose in our joints, the more prone we are to injury. And when you have injuries, you also are more prone to conditions of aging like arthritis. So this is one way that we can really keep fluidity of the joints. By doing this, you are forcing synovial fluid to form in the knees. You are forcing all of those ligaments to gently stretch out. You're forcing those muscles on top of the legs to stretch out a little bit. And this really goes a long way to preventing knee injuries, which are more common as we age. Now, if you want to, you can place your hands firmly on the soles of your feet. And you can start to lean forward in this if you want. That gives you kind of a nice lower back stretch. So while you're doing that, remember, pay attention to your sensations. It's okay to feel a pinching in your hips, but if you feel pain, you back out. It's okay to feel a stretch in the lower back, but it should not feel like you are moving beyond your edges. Okay, on the inhale, go ahead and rise up. Now, if you want, you can recline your hero. So I'm going to recline only to my elbows because I have wonky SI joints, and this is probably as far as they can go. But one way that you can ease any tension on the joints is lifting the heart center up. And if you want, you can drop your head back. But some people with ease can lay all the way down to the floor, and if that's available to you, I invite you to do so. Go ahead and rise up out of this. And then let's go ahead and sit on our shins. So this is a lot of deep knee work. If it helps you, you can put a little bit of a towel or something underneath your ankles. So we're going to go ahead, and where we were before with Humble Warrior, we're going to go into blade pose. So take your hands behind you, rise your heart center up on the inhale, curling your back as you pull your ears down or your shoulders down away from your ears. And then on the exhale, fold over your thighs, allowing your head to fall to the floor, forehead on the floor, and bring your hands up to the ceiling. And while you're in this pose, meditate again on what it means to surrender. What kind of feelings does that bring up for you? Some people wait until they are out of options to surrender. And it's very emotional for them, and it makes them feel battered and weakened. And it's only after they get a little bit of distance, a little bit of space, that they realize how necessary it was and how it was finally the right decision. Inhale. Exhale. One more inhale. Exhale. Inhale, rise up. Let's move back into downward facing dog as we set up for pigeon. This might feel good to you. It might feel a little different. You're allowing the blood to rush back into your legs. Go ahead and pedal out your legs. They might feel a little crampy behind your knees. Move all the way back into your dog. Inhale your right leg up to hip height. Exhale, bringing it down to the outside of your right hand as we just open up the hips. So you don't have to drop your knees and leave it up higher. If you want, you can drop it, but we're just opening up the hips right now. You can take your right hand and push out on the inside of your right knee and create a little twist if you want, and you can just move back and forth. So we're just opening up the hips in preparation for going into half pigeon. I think this feels mighty wonderful. Okay, go ahead and place your right hand on the floor and then walk your left hand, your right foot over to your left hand, dropping your knee. So some people have really amazing open hips here on the back, and they can have their knee parallel to the mat in front. It's never been my reality. I keep trying and it never works. So I'm surrendering to that reality for myself. But let's take a moment right now, tense our hands, pull our shoulder blades back and down, pulling our hips backwards, just allowing that nice arch. And you can stretch out your left leg behind you as much as you want. Inhale. And then on the exhale, bend your elbows down as you surrender over that right leg. Now, you do not have to, in this pose, you do not have to have your arms out in front. I usually do not. I don't find it helps me in the stretch. Having had a shoulder injury, it really just kind of stresses me out more. So when I am in pigeon, I am laying fully over my thigh. I have my torso completely down over my thigh, but my hands, I might be up on my elbows. I might have my hands out to the side, laying my head down on the tops of my hands. And I am getting an amazing stretch all on the outside of my right leg and outside of my right hip by doing this. So you can play with it. You can do whatever you want with it. Whatever you do, make sure that you're breathing. Make sure you're going for the sensation that makes you feel good. Yoga shouldn't hurt. And at the end of a yoga practice, I hope that all of my students are grateful that they took that hour and 15 minutes to take care of themselves. Another way that you can increase the stretch of this is threading your left hand underneath your right hand and laying your left shoulder on the floor. So when you do that, you're kind of allowing your torso to fall closer to the floor, which can further increase that stretch. And it integrates a little twist. Go ahead and rise up from whatever place you happen to be in with this pose. One more stretch as we pull our heart center up towards the ceiling. And then on the exhale, tuck your left toes and very gently moving your hips back in space. Bring your right leg with you as you move back into downward facing dog. Take your time and allow your blood to rush back into that leg. Inhale, bring your left leg up to hip height or as high as you want to go. And then exhale, bringing your left foot to the outside of your left hand, and then just begin to work those hips open. If you want to drop your left knee to the floor, your right knee to the floor, you can. If you want to take your left hand on your left knee and push it open as you twist towards it, moving your hips back and forth, that might help you even further open up those hips. So I often tell people, if you're having back pain, if you're having shoulder pain, if you're having neck pain, check in with your hips. Check in with your seating arrangements at work. Check in to see how tight you are in your hips and in your lower back. If you don't have movement in one part of the spine, you will not have it in the rest. So go ahead and walk your right foot over to your right hand, allowing your left knee to be on the outside of the hip. And then move your right leg back in space as far as feels good to you. Tense your hands, pull your shoulder blades back, collarbones wide as you rise your heart center towards the ceiling. And then exhale, surrender over that left leg. Finding whatever arm position you like best for you. Remembering to breathe at all times. Long, even breaths. If you want to deepen your stretch, you can join me in threading the needle, laying your right shoulder down on the floor, resting your left hand gently on top of your right hand, and just enjoying your body opening up a little bit more by doing this. One more inhale. And then on the exhale, using the strength of your arms, go ahead and lift back up. Tense your hands again, pulling your shoulders back and away from the ears, curling up your heart. And then on the exhale, plant your hands on the floor, tuck your right toes, pulling your hips back in space, bringing your left leg with you. Move your way back gently into downward facing dog. Stretch your dog out as far as you can. It's your last one of the day. Inhale, rise up high onto your tippy toes. Exhale, bend your legs and either hop or walk forward. And we're going to go ahead and stop right here in this squat. And if anybody wants to join me, I'm going to move into Malasana, which is the yogi squat. And we're going to set up for crow pose before we settle into other things. So inhale, your heart centered up. And then exhale, pull your shoulders away from the ears, down and back your spine, allowing your tailbone to descend towards the floor. If you want, you can integrate some movement in this pose by just kind of moving back and forth. There you go. To go into crow pose, what you're going to do is take your arms and go as far down inside of your knees as you can. So your knees are hugging your upper arm. Okay, so you are kind of curled in. Place your hands right in front of you and then get up on your tippy toes. So when you're up on your tippy toes now, you're starting to create the form. Go ahead and lean into your hands. This may be where you want to stop for now to get used to that sensation of leaning into your hands. Or you can lift up one leg, place that down. You can lift up the other, place that down. Or you can lean all the way forward and bring your toes together. Curling by pulling your belly button in against the spine. And if you really want to make it strong, you can put the soles of your feet together. One more inhale. Exhale, fall out of that. Or gently down. Go ahead and sit back on your bum, placing your feet in front of you. So I like arm balance poses. I don't do many of them because I'm afraid of falling on my face, I think. But also, A lot of them require a level of flexibility that I haven't had a chance to work on all these years. But heck, now I'm doing yoga 5 days a week, so who knows what progress I'll make. But let's take a nice, strong plow pose. So I want you to sit up high. Dandasana is what this is. This isn't plow pose, this is staff pose, sorry. So we're sitting in a nice strong Dandasana, pulling our shoulders back and away from the ears, moving into the back body plane, taking up space behind us, just like we're pressing our whole body from the hips to the shoulders against the wall. Go ahead and inhale your hands up, and then exhale, start to lean forward. If it's available to you to touch your feet, go ahead. But I want you to make sure that you are pulling your shoulders away from the ears, leading with the heart center as you lean forward. Don't yank against your feet, trying to muscle your way in. Allow it to come from the belly button as you pull forward by pulling the belly button in. And take notice of what that does to the lower spine versus just folding. So when you pull your belly button in, you might not go as far, but you are protecting your back, and you are protecting your hamstrings, and you are protecting your lower spine. And then always be trying to move your shoulder blades onto your back. So that way, when you finally arrive at a point where you are fully laying over your legs, it's because your muscles got trained to take you there. It's because you got strong enough to move into that. It's because you allowed your body to develop its own flexibility rather than forcing it to happen. And you'll notice over time, gravity is just allowing my torso to fall over my legs. I'm not forcing anything to happen. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, take your right foot, place it against the inside of your left thigh. Rise your hands up. And then on the exhale, do the same thing, leaning forward. You can probably lean forward this time more and just concentrate the stretch all along the back of your left leg. Leading with the heart, pulling your shoulders away from your ears, allowing plenty of length to take place. Again, allowing gravity to do the work. Allowing gravity to be that which allows your torso to fall down. Trust me, it will pay off when you are patient. You cannot force your body to open up. It will do it in its own timing. Inhale, rise up. Let's switch our feet. Put your right foot in front, your left foot back by your groin. Inhale your hands up. Exhale, folding over your right leg. If it's available to grab your foot, that's fine. Pull your shoulder blades down and away from the ears. You might find one side is different than the other. That is completely normal. In yoga, we teach to not exploit your more open side just because you can open it so much further. Resist doing so that you don't create imbalance in the body. Instead, work to get the other side as strong and as flexible. And one way you might remind yourself to do that is even to choose to start the movement on your weaker side, because that will inform you of what your limits should be on the stronger side. Over time, if we have imbalances, they become revealed through injury. And so I want to keep people from getting hurt. On the inhale, go ahead and rise up. We're going to take one more interesting and challenging pose. I don't know if you've ever done this one. It's called fire log pose. It's also known as full pigeon. You're going to take your left leg that is already on the floor. Try to create a parallel sensation with your Chin to the front of the mat. Go ahead and wiggle your hips up and down so that you can get your sits bones both in firm contact with the floor. Take your right ankle and cross it over your left leg. So you might need to do a little bit of adjusting of your hips so that now that you're in this position where you've got both shins stacked on top of one another and parallel to the front of the mat, you want to protect your ankle and your knee by pulling your right toes back to your knee by taking the ball mound of your right foot, the big toe ball mound, and kind of pushing it down and forward. So by doing so, you might lift this knee up a little bit, but you're protecting that knee, okay? And then just sit here like this. You don't have to try to get this right knee to close the gap between your foot and your knee. And you will have like a triangle between your legs. And for some people, that triangle is a little bit small in the angles for a while until they are able to open up the hips. One thing that you can do also while you're in this pose, if you have the ability, is you can take your hands and press them on either of your feet. So pressing palm to sole of the foot, right? That kind of concentrates that pressure, concentrates your energy so that you have control over what your joints are doing. And then if you want, you can start to lean forward. Some people can really get deep in this. I'm not one of them. I used to be able to get deeper, but I got out of the habit for a while of doing yoga. And Elizabeth and I were talking about this, about how the body is like a rubber band and how it just snaps right back the next day. Inhale, rise up. And then on the exhale, go ahead and reverse that. So placing your right foot on the floor, placing your left foot on top. Go ahead and adjust a little bit. Putting your soles of your feet against your hands. Your left big toe ball mound, pushing forward and down slightly to bring back your left toes to protect your left knee. And just sit up tall. And then if you want, you can start to bend into that. Whatever works for you. You don't have to bend into it if you don't want to. And then go ahead and rise up. And then go ahead and unravel your feet. And then start to make your way onto your back. So gently lay back. Go ahead and lift up your hips and wiggle them out a little bit and allow both of your sacroiliac joints to make firm contact with the floor. You might choose to shrug your shoulders a little bit underneath so that you have space in your upper back, space in your neck. So right now, my knees are bent. My knees are facing the ceiling. My toes, the soles of my feet are on the floor. So why don't we start in bound ankle pose? So in bound ankle pose, you've got your soles of your feet together and you're allowing your legs to butterfly open. We are in Supta Badakanasana, reclined bound angle. And go ahead and just start to slow your breath down. Start to pay attention to what sensations you might be having now that the body is no longer moving. Do you feel restless? Do you feel relaxed? Do you feel that there's any part of your body that is holding on to tension? Take a deep breath and find that part of the body and breathe into it, exhaling into it, commanding it to release any tension. If you desire, go ahead and allow your legs to straighten out so that the floor can fully support your hips, your back, your legs, your shoulders, the back of your head. Drawing your attention towards your feet. Release any energy or muscle energy in the foot. Just allow it to fully relax. Inhaling deeply. And on the exhale, drawing your attention to your legs, fully relaxing your thighs and your calves and your shins. Inhaling deeply again. And on your exhale, drawing your attention to your lower back, allowing the floor to fully support your back, hollowing out your lower belly, relaxing all of those muscles. Inhale. Drawing your attention to your hands and making sure you're not holding any tension in your hands or in your forearms. Inhale. On your exhale, fully relaxing your shoulders, allowing your collarbones to widen as your upper back falls into the floor. Inhale. And then on your exhale, relaxing your neck and your jaw, all the muscles of your face. Allow your eyes to sink deeply into their sockets, allowing your eyebrows to melt down towards your ears. One more inhale. On the exhale, release any tension from the crown of the head. Lie comfortably in Savasana for at least the next 5 minutes. And I will play you some music. With those three thuds, if you will, experimenting with a new sound, I'm going to invite you to return to the present. Start to create some movement, wiggling your fingers and your toes. Maybe you stretch out your body, drawing your hands overhead, stretching out as far as you desire. Maybe you bring your knees up and you hug your chest. can roll over to one side or the other. And just lay in a ball briefly. Using the strength of your hands, begin to sit up, but keep your head below your heart. Just keep on tucking your chin to your chest as you rise up into a sitting position. And when you arrive at that position, go ahead and inhale your shoulders up. And then as you exhale your shoulders back down, shoulder blades onto the back, go ahead and rise your face. Gently allow your eyes to flutter open, keeping your gaze low, finding a fixed point on the floor out in front. Breathing deeply and evenly and slowly. Inhale your hands up. Exhale your hands down. Inhale your hands up. Exhale your hands down. And then inhale your hands up. Exhale your hands to the space between your eyes, the third eye, ajna. And then further down to the heart center, anahata. Inhale. And then exhale, bow your head over your hands. Thank you for joining me Thursday night Vinyasa Flow. I'm in my third year doing this now. It is my favorite night of the week. I love when I'm able to share it with people. I love that you took this time to take care of yourself and to join us in this collective energy. The light in me sees the light in you. The yogi in me honors the yogi in you. Namaste. Put my glasses on and join you at the camera.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Yeah,
Oh, thank you. I hope it was good.
it was very informative. Thank you.